It's a wonderful day to come into Hello Hello. We've got our store absolutely, I'm here in my pink tutu of course, and we've got our store absolutely chock-a-block with beautiful stock. These hydrangea here are paniculata and they're called graffiti and they're absolutely gorgeous. You're going to find a whole nursery chock-a-block with beautiful stock, so come down and check it out. Right now is the very best time of year to plant. A lot of people think springtime is the best time of year to plant, but I'll explain to you why right now is the best time to plant. What you've got right now is you've got your autumn rains are coming, the weather's cooled down, we've got long cool nights, but we still have nice warm days. The soil is warm. So if you plant a plant right now, it goes into warm soil. Evaporation is less than half of what it was 6 weeks ago. So you've got low evaporation rate, so you water your new plant in, it's in warm soil, you water it in, and you don't have to water it every day or anything like that. Give it a bit of fertilizer, and if you were to pull that plant out after only 10 or 12 days, you'll find that new little white roots are starting to grow because plants love warm soil. And the other reason why it's great to plant right now is that from now till Christmas time, Melbourne and Victoria tends to be fairly moist and not too cold and not too hot. So the plant has a nice gentle time establishing. It grows its roots in autumn and into the winter, and then in springtime, that nicely established little plant is going to rocket away and you get that full spring growth. Whereas if you plant in springtime, the plant isn't really established, and then it's only a matter of weeks and you're into your hot summer weather and the plant could struggle a little. Whereas your well-established plant that's grown strongly in the springtime is going to romp through next summer. So right now is the very best time to plant. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. How would you like to have a beautiful, relaxing, tropical experience today? Well, come down to Hello Hello and look at these beautiful miniature bougainvilleas. Now you can grow these in a pot on the balcony, grow them in the courtyard. They love a bit of hot sun and they just stay lovely and miniature and give you lots and lots of colour all summer long. And we've got all different varieties, but they feel so tropical. And down here, beautiful hibiscus. Look at this one here. I love this one here. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And lovely bright red hibiscus. So come down to Hello Hello today and relax and get the tropical vibes with beautiful tropical plants like bougainvilleas and hibiscus. Wow. We're open every day, and if you come in, this is a $24.99 anthurium that has the beautiful dark red flowers, gorgeous little indoor plant, lovely to have in the house, very hardy, last you for years, and we're going to give one for free, a $24.99 anthurium for free for every single customer that shops with us. Here we are. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. This is one of the most talked about plants on my socials, and believe it or not, it's an Australian native. And what it is, I call it Zen moss, and what it does is it grows up above the snow line in Victoria, say Mount Buller, and it gets covered and buried in snow in the winter, and then after the snow melts, it's exposed to full hot sun. It loves the full hot sun, and it grows in cracks in the rocks that have sort of got gravelly, well-drained soil. So to really enjoy this, you plant it in a nice warm sunny spot, nice loose well-drained soil, a little bit of fertilizer and plenty of water, and you've got this beautiful fast growing mossy mound that you can grow in a pot, grow it underneath as an understory under another plant in a pot, or grow it in the garden, plant an enormous ground cover of it, do whatever you want. It's one of the most versatile plants around and it's lovely. People love it, and I notice it even attracts children. I'll be walking around the nursery sometimes and we'll have a display of this, and I'll come across a little child just patting it. So Zen moss puts a beautiful sort of Zen feeling into your garden. Great in your Zen style gardens. Zen moss, beautiful. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. Now's the time to shop online at Hello Hello. If you were to spend over $99 at Hello Hello right now, you would get this magnificent Chef's Choice Rosemary. Fabulous fragrance, beautiful flavour, valued at $30. And then if you were to spend over $199, you'd get this beautiful Japanese maple, red autumn colour, beautiful shape, valued at $89.99. And then if you were to spend $299, you'd get this beautiful pure silk Sasanqua camellia. Now it's covered in the most gorgeous little buds, and those buds are going to come out as beautiful pale pink and white flowers. Lovely foliage, very, very versatile. Valued at $149.99. Free when you spend $299. And then when you spend $399, you get this gorgeous forest pansy. And your forest pansy has fabulous pink blossom in springtime and then purple heart-shaped leaves right through the summer and right into late autumn. Absolutely amazing. And these are really sought after. This one here is valued $229 when you get over $399. What incredible value. So now's the time to shop online at Hello Hello. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now. Tap the link and let's go.
Hi Chris, I plant these. It just doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to grow. And I'm just wondering what you can advise.
Okay, you've got a problem that lots and lots of Australians have got. Have a look out here. See these big gum trees here?
Yep.
Australia's a very dry continent,
Yes.
and what they're good at is they're good at finding where the water is and taking their roots out and grabbing the water and grabbing all the fertilizer. Right now the gum tree's stealing and taking them all, and that's why they look so sad.
But it's actually in this, look like a pot by itself. It's not even into the ground.
This is a retaining wall here. This is just a piece of timber sitting above the soil.
Okay.
And that retaining wall goes back into there. Those gum tree roots would be in there for sure.
Oh, wow.
And what I'd be doing with these is every 3 months I'd give them a really good dose of Osmocote. I'd give them a really good dose of soil wetter to help the moisture go in and stay in. And then I'd maybe put some sort of a drip hose or something like that, and I'd be very generous with the water, because the water and fertilizer you put here has to be enough for these plants to thrive and enough for this gum tree. If you only put enough here for these plants to grow, the gum tree will take it all. So you need to be very, very vigilant with fertilizer, soil wetter, and don't just give them a little soak, but give them a really good deep soak.
What is deep?
Deep soak, like the water going down nice and deep.
Okay.
You could put some sort of a soak-it hose along here, and in summertime have it on for half an hour or so and give them a really good deep soak. And these will grow beautifully.
Very kind of you, Chris.
Okay, no worries.
Great. Hello, hello.
Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now. Tap the link and let's go. It's a wonderful day to come into Hello Hello. We've got our store absolutely, I'm here in my pink tutu of course, and we've got our store absolutely chock-a-block with beautiful stock. These hydrangea here are paniculata and they're called graffiti, and they're absolutely gorgeous. You're going to find a whole nursery chock-a-block with beautiful stock, so come down and check it out. Right now is the very best time of year to plant. A lot of people think springtime is the best time of year to plant, but I'll explain to you why right now is the best time to plant. What you've got right now is you've got your autumn rains are coming, the weather's cooled down, we've got long cool nights, but we still have nice warm days. The soil is warm. So if you plant a plant right now, it goes into warm soil. Evaporation is less than half of what it was 6 weeks ago. So you've got low evaporation rate, so you water your new plant in, it's in warm soil, you water it in, and you don't have to water it every day or anything like that. Give it a bit of fertilizer, and if you were to pull that plant out after only 10 or 12 days, you'll find that new little white roots are starting to grow, because plants love warm soil. And the other reason why it's great to plant right now is that from now till Christmas time, Melbourne and Victoria tends to be fairly moist and not too cold and not too hot. So the plant has a nice gentle time establishing. It grows its roots in autumn and into the winter, and then in springtime that nicely established little plant is going to rocket away and you get that full spring growth. Whereas if you plant in springtime, the plant isn't really established and then it's only a matter of weeks and you're into your hot summer weather and the plant could struggle a little. Whereas your well-established plant that's grown strongly in the springtime is going to romp through next summer. So right now is the very best time to plant. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. How would you like to have a beautiful, relaxing, tropical experience today? Well, come down to Hello Hello and look at these beautiful miniature bougainvilleas. Now you can grow these in a pot on the balcony, grow them in the courtyard. They love a bit of hot sun and they just stay lovely and miniature and give you lots and lots of colour all summer long. And we've got all different varieties, but they feel so tropical. And down here, beautiful hibiscus. Look at this one here. I love this one here. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And lovely bright red hibiscus. So come down to Hello Hello today and relax and get the tropical vibes with beautiful tropical plants like bougainvilleas and hibiscus. Wow. We're open every day, and if you come in, this is a $24.99 anthurium that has the beautiful dark red flowers, gorgeous little indoor plant, lovely to have in the house, very hardy, lasts you for years, and we're going to give one for free, a $24.99 anthurium for free for every single customer that shops with us. Here we are. Don't wait, the garden's calling. Click now, tap the link and let's go. This is one of the most talked about plants on my socials, and believe it or not, it's an Australian native. And what it is, I call it Zen moss, and what it does is it grows up above the snow line in Victoria, say Mount Buller, and it gets covered and buried in snow in the winter, and then after the snow melts, it's exposed to full hot sun. It loves the full hot sun, and it grows in cracks in the rocks that have sort of got gravelly, well-drained soil. So, to really enjoy this, you plant it in a nice, warm, sunny spot, nice, loose, well-drained soil, a little bit of fertilizer, and plenty of water, and you've got this beautiful, fast-growing, mossy mound that you can grow in a pot, grow it underneath as an understory under another plant in a pot, or grow it in the garden, plant an enormous ground cover of it, do whatever you want. It's one of the most versatile plants around, and it's lovely. People love it, and I notice it even attracts children. I'll be walking around the nursery sometimes and we'll have a display of this, and I'll come across a little child just patting it. So Zen moss puts a beautiful sort of Zen feeling into your garden. Great in your Zen style gardens. Zen moss, beautiful.
Alright, hello everyone, welcome to our live Q&A with Chris. We will be conducting 30 to 45 minutes of live question and answers. You can ask Chris any question about your garden, any concerns, or anything you want to know about your garden or gardening. Chris will happily answer it for you live on today's show. Just leave a comment in the comment section with your question, your gardening question, and Chris will have it answered live. How are you feeling today, Chris?
Great. Yeah, great.
Anything you want to say before we get stuck into our questions?
I love the weather. I love this sort of not too hot, not too cold autumn weather. Wonderful weather in Victoria right now.
Yeah, it's really autumny, isn't it?
Yeah, and we look like getting a nice drop of rain tonight, which would be really good, and then a nice fine week after that.
Beautiful. All right.
Yeah, so Melbourne really, Melbourne got voted the world's most livable city or something like that, the world's best city to live in.
Yeah. Just last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the weather, we've got the most gorgeous autumn weather, and Melbourne really is a fabulous place to be. And Melbourne is, they used to call it the Garden State years ago. I think they changed it to the Education State. I don't know, maybe because our education's lacking a little. But but we were the Garden State, and it still really is the Garden State. We have the most nurseries here in Melbourne.
In all of Australia, or
of all of Australia, it's the nursery capital of Australia. It's the garden capital of Australia. We have beautiful parks and gardens and fabulous street trees, and the people of Melbourne overall have beautiful gardens. All throughout Melbourne, you see the most. When I'm out doing deliveries of plants and things like that, I see the most beautiful gardens all through Melbourne.
That's right. And there's also the Melbourne Flower and Garden Show, which will be coming up soon as well, which is also the perfect time to check out your gardening. And it's just a good time to do gardening all around, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
All right, well, we'll get stuck into, so don't feel shy. Ask a question away. If you have any questions about your plants, anything that's happening, or you want some advice with your garden, now is your opportunity to take advantage of 60 years of expert horticultural knowledge sitting right in front of you live right now. And we're gonna get stuck into our first few questions here. But yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them right now in the comment section. Chris will answer them for you. So first one comes to us from G. Nelly, wanting advice for potted flowering plants for far south coast in sometimes windy and always full sun positions.
Potted flowering plants, south coast, this would be south coast of New South Wales, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Victoria, would it? South coast, there's no such thing.
No, it'd be south coast New South Wales, I'd imagine. And so south coast New South Wales, potted flowering colour. Do you know, it would be hard to beat, it would be, for spring, summer and autumn, it would be hard to beat Calabracia. And what's lovely about Calabracia is that you can buy different colours of it, and you could mix the colours up in the pot. So if you've got nice big pots, it looks gorgeous when you put 2 or 3 different colour Calabracias. Now Calabracias, when they first came on the market, they were called Million Bells. And I think they're a type of petunia, they're perennial. If you look after them well, they'll go on year after year, and they flower for about 9 months a year, and they can have thousands of flowers on them at the one time. And there's lots of beautiful colours and multicolours, and in big pots you can make up, you can make up a combo because they're fairly fine foliage, low growing and small flowers. Windy, difficult. Put them out in the hot sun. They'll grow in quite a difficult spot. You just got to keep the water and a bit of fertiliser up to them. And what could look really nice is a little bit of silver dichondra hanging over the side of the pot with the Calabracia on top. So Calabracia would be a number one
for that within pots, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other really great thing, the thing that's sort of forgotten a little bit, is your geranium. And geraniums flower for most of the year, and there's some beautiful geraniums on the market. There's big red, big white, big pink, are popular ones you find in your local nursery and chain store. And they're great. You know, you nip the centre out of them, they bush right out, and they just flower and flower and flower, and occasionally you've got to take the dead flowers off, and that's about it.
So there's a couple of choices for you.
Oh yeah.
All right, awesome. There you go, G. Neil. I hope that I'm saying that right, or G. Nelly. There's a couple of choices for your potted questionnaire for south coast, where we're assuming New South Wales. I think that makes the most sense.
South coast, New South Wales, yeah.
So there was silver dichondra, Calabracia, and geraniums.
Geraniums, assorted geraniums, yeah.
Awesome. That'll give you plenty of colour and plenty of flowers. Fantastic. All right, keep your gardening questions coming in, guys, as we answer them live for you. Next one comes to us from Ashley, asking, do you have Chilean guava and can you ship to South Australia?
Yes and no, which is probably the most frustrating combination. But we don't always have Chilean guava, but and occasionally they fruit in the little pots, and they're the tastiest little guava around. And it's a beautiful looking plant. It has a little white flower, fine dark green foliage, and little tiny fruits, maybe a little bit bigger than a blueberry, with a beautiful tangy flavour. Absolutely fabulous. And right now we're not allowed to. We're working on being able to ship to South Australia, but there's some new quarantine regulations in that we have to meet, and so at the moment we're off the market in terms of shooting there. But I'd imagine in a few months we'll be actually able to start, shipping stuff around Australia.
Yeah, if you want, you could sign up for our newsletter. We send out an email every week, and we'll announce on there once we've got that all happening again.
Yeah, sign up for the newsletter. We'll keep the interstate people posted when we're actually able to meet the new quarantine regulations.
Yeah, just head to hellohelloplants.com.au and you can sign up for our newsletter there. You'll see it on the front page. Good luck with that, Ashley. All right, next one here, and just while we're here, for those of you who've just joined us, we are doing a live question and answers with Chris, where you can ask him any of your gardening, horticultural style questions, and Chris will happily answer them live for you on today's show. If you have a plant problem or a gardening question, or you want some advice, Chris can answer that for you right now, live. Rose says, I love your videos. Can you please send me a hi?
Hi Rose. Hi, thank you for watching my videos. I really like it that that there's people out there that are enjoying them. So thank you. And some people are saying that they're good for information. So some people enjoy them, some people find them valuable. And thank you for checking them out and giving me some feedback.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rose.
There you go, Rose. And if you do enjoy, these lives that we do weekly, please make sure to leave us a like, subscribe to our channels, follow us on all the social media to keep up with the latest. Mazen says, you make me love plants with pleasure from Egypt.
Wow, yeah, that's great. And like,
wow,
plants,
what can you grow in Egypt? Must be a different sort of...
Well, there's different climates in Egypt, but Egypt,
is there? Okay.
Egypt has a beautiful hot climate, sort of semi-tropical.
Semi-tropical. So it'd be like a Queensland or
yeah,
something?
kind of like Queensland, but lots of desert as well.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much, Mazen, for your comments. All right, Lucy says, what's the best way to get rid of, I don't know how you pronounce that, is it gnats or gnats? Indoors.
Gnats indoors.
Bugs.
Do you know, we could put something up on, we'll get something, we'll put it up online this week, but one of the girls that works here is a very good horticulturalist, and she makes her own potting mix, which is a soil-free potting mix, which grows the plants beautifully. And I'll get that and I'll put that up online so people can actually, because quite a lot of people are worried about those gnats.
Yeah.
And the way to do it is a soil-free mix, and we'll get Jodie to put the recipe. We'll put up online.
All right, yeah. Beautiful. All right, well, keep your gardening questions coming. Chris will happily answer them for you. Hey, I've actually got a quick question just while we're waiting for more to roll in. I got a gunnera from here, which is that big Amazon plant, and the caterpillars were going nuts at it. And now it's grown a little bit bigger and the caterpillars have stopped attacking it. Do you know why that would be? Is that because of the spikes on its trunk?
No. What it would be is the caterpillars have seasons. Different varieties of caterpillars come at different times. And the season for caterpillars turning into, for that particular caterpillar's just moved out of season. You often get a big attack of caterpillars and then they'll often disappear.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, we've got some more questions rolling in, guys. Don't be shy. Ask your questions away, otherwise I'm going to start asking questions. All right, Lucy, we got some more from Lucy. But if I already have them, circling back to the gnats indoors.
Yeah.
So she already has the problem. Would that still suffice what you said about the gnats?
repotting your plants into a soil-free mix is the answer.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. That's your answer. All right, Helena says, I have a big mix of cottage flowers. Best time to plant and best location for cottage flowers.
Okay, so you can have cottage that love the shade, but most cottage plants love the sun. Great time to plant is right now because plants, the evaporation rate is down, the soil's warm, and plants take root and establish themselves, and then you'll get a great show out of them next spring and summer. If you're planting now, great time to get your cottage in now, and then get a fabulous show in spring and summer.
Yeah, so the roots can establish.
Yeah, the roots can establish, they take off, they grow like crazy, flower like crazy through spring and summer, and you have a great show.
Excellent. All right, there you go, Helena. Pete asks, where should I put my gardenia and kangaroo paw? Full light or half light shade?
Okay, gardenia will take full sun through to quite shady. So really, the main ingredients for growing gardenia is beautiful. That it likes acidic soil. So mixing pine bark in, or you can buy potting mix that's designed for gardenias and azaleas and roses and things. So acidic soil, loose, well-drained soil, plenty of water and plenty of nitrogen fertilizer, and your gardenias will go mad. A fabulous thing for gardenias is Osmocote liquid fertilizer for acid-loving plants. I've seen...
it's a liquid one, not the
it's a liquid
pebbles.
one you put on with a watering can, and I've seen a person almost bring gardenias back from the dead with that liquid fertilizer. So it's Osmocote liquid fertilizer for acid-loving plants. So it's sun or shade doesn't seem to matter that much. It's fabulous drainage, plenty of water, plenty of water, and lots of acidic soil. and acidic sort of fertilizer like that, Osmocote liquid fertilizer for acid-loving plants. What was the other plant?
Kangaroo paw.
Kangaroo paw. Now kangaroo paws.
You got one next to you there.
Yeah, here we've got a beautiful kangaroo paw. Now kangaroo paws, where they come from is that they come from sort of arid areas in Australia, and what they want is they want beautiful, well-drained soil, and they don't want it too heavily fed. So if you're putting a bit of Osmocote on them, you'd only put a little tiny bit of Osmocote. So a tiny bit of Osmocote's all you need for your kangaroo paw. So go very light on the fertilizer. Don't overdo the watering, and beautiful, well-drained soil. A little bit of mulch around, so you haven't got mud splashing all over it.
Yeah.
And your kangaroo paws will do great, and an open sunny spot. They don't want to be in under the trees or anything like that. So open and sunny, well drained, a little bit hungry, very light on the fertilizer, regular water but not too often.
All right, there you go, Pete. A very detailed answer for you. And if you want to rewatch this live to get your answers, you can always do that. Head over to YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, Hello Plants. After we finish doing this live, this video will be posted and you'll be able to re-listen to Chris's answers if you missed anything in there, because it's quite detailed, Pete. Thank you very much. Great advice, says Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Lucy also says thank you from before when you answered her question on the gnats.
Yep.
And Helena also said, I didn't know that. Thank you so much. Helena also says, also some of my pumpkin leaves have white spot. What can I do to help my pumpkins? Yeah, they've lost a few leaves already.
White spot is a bit of mildew, and you could go down and get a rose spray, that was designed to get rid of mildew off rose leaves and spray that on it. That if you've got it, but maybe look at, like in future years, maybe you really need your pumpkins in a hot, open, sunny spot. So one way to avoid the mildew is a nice, hot, open, sunny spot.
They like that
for your
hot
pumpkin.
Afternoon sun,
yeah,
right?
And then maybe look at your pH level in your soil. If your soil's acidic, your pumpkins are going to be more susceptible to mildew type problems. So it could be a pH. So in future years you could increase the pH of your pumpkin patch. Make sure your pumpkin patch is in a really hot, open, sunny spot, and you should be able to avoid that problem in the future. And if you're having a bit of bad weather and lots of moisture and stuff on your pumpkin leaves, you might go for like a rose fungicide over the foliage.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
rose fungicide to give that a whirl and check your pH levels.
There's rose funguses roses are very susceptible to mildew, particularly at this time of year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, Helena. Hopefully that answers that one for you as well. We've got a few questions rolling in. For those of you who have just joined us, you can ask your gardening questions, or if you want any gardening advice, you can just ask them, drop them in the comments section right now. We're answering them live for the next 30 minutes or so. All right, Pavel asks, what are the vegetables and flowers to grow during autumn and winter?
To grow.
Yes, sow/grow. Like maybe there's
okay.
Sowing now, I guess.
Okay, so I'm doing it from a Melbourne point of view, and really cottage plants, like we were just talking about cottage plants and roses and things like that. If you plant now, you can have a great show in springtime. So right now, your cottage plants, your roses, all that sort of perennial flowering stuff, now's a great time to be planting. But in terms of some winter colour, the best winter colour right now would be to go for pansies and violas. So pansies and violas will give you a fabulous show. Virtually planted now, you'll have a beautiful show right through to Christmas time. So pansies and violas. What was the rest of that question? So it was.
Where is it? Here. Just says, what are the vegetables and flowers to sow
and they're
during
vegetables.
autumn and winter?
Vegetables right now. You could be planting your onions. You could be planting. Now's a good time for broccoli, broad beans. Your broad beans, very much a winter coat. Broccoli. You can still be putting a few lettuces in. Cabbage, silver beet, spinach, all of your greens. Great to plant now, and they'll feed you right through the winter and into the springtime. Even rocket's really good now, and coriander. coriander, you in the summertime you plant it and 5 minutes later it's going to seed. But if you plant coriander now, coriander and rocket, you'll get a much better run out of it planting it this time of year.
Oh, that's good to know. All right, there's a heap of choices there, Pavel, that you can start planting
Yeah, and
now.
then for colour, have a look at your pansies and violas, and they're making them more and more beautiful every year.
Awesome.
Lovely varieties around.
That's really good to know. So again, if you do want to re-listen to any of the answers from Chris, you can subscribe to us at Hello Hello Plants on YouTube, and this live will be posted straight after we finish broadcasting. There's a great selection for you, Pavel. Keep your gardening questions coming in, guys. This is a live question and answers, and Chris will happily answer any gardening questions you will have. If you do want to take that relationship a little bit further with Chris and actually sit down with him and have a one-to-one, we do offer a free garden design service. Just head over to hellohelloplants.com.au and check out our free garden design service, where you can sit down with Chris and actually have him design your garden for you. What more could you want? All right, we'll jump over to our next question here from Mahidira, saying, in Melbourne, rose grows very well, but not in Brisbane because of climate. So what you suggest? I think the question is, what do you suggest for Brisbane as an alternative to roses, maybe, is what the question is meant to say.
That's an interesting question. You've got so much up there. You've got your hibiscus, you've got your frangipani, and you've got things like tipicinas. There's some beautiful small tipicinas that do really, really well. And up in Brisbane, you do fabulously well with gardenia, and they kind of replace the iceberg rose. And there's lots of different gardenias.
Yeah.
So gardenias,
you get the fragrance
gardenias are fabulous. And like I said, the tipicinas do really, really well up there. And there's some lovely little bushy tipicinas these days. And tipicinas have sort of mauves, pinks, blues, purple flowers. And they flower and flower and flower and flower. So they're all, and so you can grow so many flowers. Don't miss the roses. Up in Brisbane, you can grow so many flowers that we can't grow. But I would also suspect that the iceberg rose is the hardiest rose in Melbourne, and I bet you that you'd find an iceberg rose, and iceberg roses now come in 3 or 4 different colours. I bet you if you were going to sneak away a few roses in your garden up there in Brisbane, you'd grow iceberg roses.
Really?
Yeah, because they're much more. The main problem with your roses up there is the wet weather infecting them with fungal and mildew type diseases.
Okay, yeah.
So it'd be interesting to just experiment with the toughest rose of all, which is really your iceberg rose. But that gives you quite a few roses, or quite a few plants that you can plant instead of the roses. So gardenias, tipicinas, frangipanis. Oh, and the other thing that would do really well up there is your crepe myrtle should do very well too.
Crepe myrtles, okay.
Yeah, and there's some lovely little bushy crepe myrtles now.
Yeah, you can get the Enduring Summer, I think it is. That's that little dwarf red one. All right, there you go, Mahidra. Hopefully that helps you out with a good selection there. All right, keep your gardening questions coming in, guys. Helena, just circling back to what you mentioned before in terms of, sowing. I think it was sowing. Oh no, wait. I'll head to Flower Power today and get some. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was
no
the meal. What was that again? The killing the mold off the pumpkin.
Yeah.
And then Helena just says, I've got silver beet, onion, sugar snaps, tomatoes and zucchini. Anything else I can plant now? So I'm assuming Helena's in New South Wales.
Yeah.
So
what has she got again?
Just wanted to know, do you have any other...
Onions, spring onions,
She's got sugar snaps, tomatoes, zucchini.
Yeah.
Silver beets at the moment.
Onions,
yep.
Onions, and you could do like spring onions and then have them come on to be onions. You could do your what was I say? You've got your broccoli, cabbage.
Broccoli, cabbage, yep.
Yep.
That'll all grow okay?
That all do great if you put them in at the moment.
Perfect. All right, there you go, Helena. All right, Ralph asks, I don't think this is, hang on, let me just read it quickly. I think Ralph is having a bit of fun, it's not a question, but I think I can read it out, it's not too rude. Ralph likes to put in a little joke comment from time to time. Roses are red, violets are blue, No one has more breathtaking nostrils than you. Ralph has the fetish for your hairy legs too.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that's Ralph. I'm not sure. We see that comment.
Yeah, well, it's good to know I'm attractive to somebody.
There you go, Ralph. We read it out for you. All right, guys, keep the questions rolling in. The next one here comes to us from Sally. How do I know if my plant needs more space to grow?
It's an interesting question, Nate. What it is, when you put plants really close together, they tend to grow faster because they get energy from each other.
Yeah.
But then when you put them too close, they get leggy and get messed up. So what it is when you're planting plants, I'm always playing that game where I want the high performance, so I want them close, and then I don't want them to get leggy and drawn up, so I don't want them too close. And so with every plant that's different, but it's a constant battle between being close and getting fabulous growth and being that bit further apart and having room to develop fully and properly. So and there's no two plants that are the same. But like back on the vegetable thing again, when I used to have my own veggie garden, what I would do is I would plant a slow growing plant, say like a slow growing plant would be like an eggplant, and I'd put them a good distance away from each other, because they when they finally do get going, they're quite big.
Yeah.
And then I throw a couple of little lettuces in between, and having the lettuces in between would give me some sort of a short-term yield. But also, I believe that those lettuces actually help the other plants grow, because plants love having plants around them. So I would plant sort of long and short-term vegetables together, and I used to find that those long-term veggies actually grew faster.
Wow, that's so interesting. I did see a documentary on also mushrooms. Apparently they do a similar thing. They sort of put stuff through the soil to help the plants feed off each other. It's like a little nutrient highway to each tree and plant.
Yeah.
Sounds similar,
That's right, yeah. So a lot of trees are dependent on sort of a fungus to help them get their nutrients.
Perfect. And thank you for the rose, Bien. Sent us a rose.
Thank you, Bien. Much appreciated.
Helena said, perfect, thank you. You're welcome, Helena. And keep your gardening questions coming. Please like and share this live if you enjoy it today. We do like to help others discover this amazing opportunity to, get access to Chris's encyclopedia of a mind here with the gardening questions. All right, we've got another one here coming in from Katie. I have chickens and would like to add their manure to my garden. Is there anything I should do to it first? Don't you just let it dry out a bit first, isn't it? Or?
That's an interesting question. I think, say you're preparing a new. Look, there's a couple of different things you could do. One thing you could do is you could throw it on the compost heap, and then let it and what it'll do, it'll accelerate the decomposition of all your other scraps and all your other bits and pieces, and then once as it's decomposed, then you can use that as a very rich compost to sprinkle around your plants. But chicken manure is really good just to when you're digging, say you're making a new garden bed or you're making a new bed in a veggie patch, sprinkle some chicken manure over the top, then dig it in and just raw neat chicken manure. See what it is, plants, chicken manure is often a little bit rich for a plant to be sitting in just pure chicken manure, but once you mix it through the soil, where you've got 80 or 90% soil and only 10 to 20% chicken manure, you'll find that you can just mix it through the soil and it really helps things grow.
Really? They love it, do they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
That sort of combination. So it's when it's all clumped together 100%, it's not good, right?
That's right. And chicken manure is a very interesting substance, because what it is that often where people have used chemical fertilizers on their garden or their land, the chemical fertilizers build up there, and they're there, but they're not available to the plant. And so on land that's been cultivated for a long time and had lots of chemical fertilizers on it, a good dose of chicken manure on that land will release all the other fertilizer. Right. And so I remember years ago I started a nursery on an old potato patch, and the potato patch had 30 or 40 years of spuds on it, and the guy put superphosphate on every year for 30 or 40 years, and there was a lot of that superphosphate locked up in the land, and the land would hardly even grow grass. It was like a desert. And I whacked on a bit of lime and a bit of chicken manure, cultivated it, and just everything started to grow like crazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Katie, hopefully that helps you out with what to do and how to add it to your soil and get your plants really growing. Keep the gardening questions coming in, guys, as we ask Chris here live on the show. If you want any advice or you have a gardening question, Chris will answer it live for you right now. Trevor says, what's the best way to water plants during very hot days? I mean, we've done some videos on this. Yep. Yesterday was a pretty hot day. Like, is there any advice you want to give to Trevor here on that?
Okay, so say you come home. There's a couple of different aspects of that. Watering is something like I'm constantly teaching people to water here. Say you come home and you've got a plant and it's wilted. It's been a hot, dry day. You didn't water it since yesterday or the day before. You come home and it's wilted, and it's still hot. So the first thing you do is I'd spray the leaves, because when that because what happens, the wilting plant is in the process of dying. It's preparing to give up the ghost, and so. Once you spray the leaves, the dying process is stopped, and then if it's dried out badly, I'd give it a fairly quick water, leave it for half an hour, give it another water, and it was dried out real bad, I'd leave it for another half an hour and give it a really deep soak. So the last watering should be a really deep soak. So there's nothing like a preliminary water to act as a wetting agent to help getting the water in. So yeah, it's hot, it's dry, the plant's wilted, spray the leaves. First thing, just spray the leaves, and then that stops the dying process. Then a quick water, leave it for half an hour, then a deep soak. And sometimes, like in the nursery, there'll be some plant in a corner that gets neglected, doesn't get watered. And what I'll do is I will grab that plant and I will put it in a shady corner and give it the 2 or 3 waterings that I spray the leaves and give it the 2 or 3 waterings that I just described. And by putting it in the shade, it tends to speed the recovery from the, so you get less damage.
Okay, so that's if it's in pots, yeah?
Yeah, if it's in pots, yeah. But basically, my process, if it's really wilted and really in trouble, spray the leaves. And then water, and then a couple of waterings to get the water in deep. And if I had a big tree in the garden, what I would tend to do is sprinkle a bit. I'd spray the leaves first of all. So spraying the leaves stops the dying process.
Yeah.
Then what I would do is I'd pray where I probably didn't want to stand. You've got to get the water down really deep.
Yeah.
And what you could do is you could do a half hour. You put some soil wet around the base, some chemical soil wet, that helps water go in. And then you could do a half an hour with a soaker hose around the base of the tree.
Yeah.
A half an hour.
And get it down real deep.
Yeah, half an hour every day for 5 days, and that will put water right down deep where the dryness is.
Okay, perfect.
And that'd be for a tree that's suffering a sort of a dryness crisis.
Excellent. All right, there you go, Trevor. Hopefully that one there helps you out. And make sure to like and share this live as you're watching here right now. We'd like to get our whole community involved, and this is a great opportunity to get free advice, free planting and gardening advice. Don't be shy, guys. Ask your question, drop it in the comments section, and we'll jump on to our next question here coming to us. Actually, it's kind of a follow-up on when you were talking about the chicken manure dynamic lifter going into the soil. Veggie just says, so do I need to fertilize an old garden bed? I think is what the question's meant to say.
Yes, yeah.
So like an old garden bed that sort of haven't been looked
old
after.
Garden beds really. People have been working it over, and the best fertilisation is really something like compost, nice rich compost. And I remember when I was a kid, that was what everybody had, a nice compost heap, and they would throw all the household scraps on it and decompost them there.
Yeah.
And then they would use that really as their fertiliser.
Yeah.
And at our house we had a cow and chook, so we'd use the cow, the chooks, and all the sweepings and leaves and everything from the whole place, rot it all down.
Yeah.
And all the household rubbish, and we'd rot all that down, and then that was really our fertiliser. So when we'd clear out an old garden bed and starting a new garden bed, we'd put a couple inches of that stuff over the top of it, and then we'd dig it all over and dig it in. And it's a great way to garden. But you can use any fertiliser like your Osmocote or anything like that, but the ultimate is really good quality compost, good rich compost.
All right, perfect. There you go, Veggie. Veggie says thanks. Joe Max says, I'm selling my house in September. What should I do to make sure my garden looks stunning?
September.
Book a free garden design.
There's the free garden design, but something I would consider, it depends on the style of garden, but what's good is a lot of people come in and they say, I'm putting my house on the market and I need you to make the garden look great. And I say, when's it going on the market? They say, on Tuesday, and it might be Sunday, right? And it goes on the market on Tuesday, and we're doing the photographs on Monday. Now the problem with doing that is that they have to buy big flowering plants.
Yeah.
They have to buy big flowering plants and big stuff to make it look good. Whereas what's great is you've said September and it's now March. Now if you came in and got a free garden design, there's lots of things that we could plant now that could look really fabulous then. And one of when you do a garden to sell your house, you want to do a garden that's not for you. You want to think, and you even talk to your agent, say, who buys these sort of houses around here? And they say, oh look, they're old retired people or they're young families or whatever. And then you imagine what the old retired family or the young family or whatever it is, they might be migrants or whatever that sort of customer who's going to buy that sort of house is, and then you design your garden for them. But really you can't go too far wrong getting flowers in the garden. And there's things like, if you were to plant bacopa now, bacopa is a beautiful thing that covers the ground and you can get it in white, pink, blue or purple. If you planted lots and lots of bacopa, your garden could look glorious.
Really?
Yeah. And so,
full flower.
Yeah, I've done that when I've been selling houses. I've just gone and I've gone in a few months beforehand and put like 500 little tiny flowering plants that then become big flowering plants, so that when people come, they go, wow,
That's cool. That's a great idea. What about those nice hydrangeas next to you there? Would they be any good or?
Okay, so when people come and see me and they say that and lots of people come for that free garden design when they're selling a property.
Yeah.
And so when they come in, what I say to them is when are you selling? That's my first question. When are you selling? Because I'm not going to put a lot of deciduous plants into it. Like this hydrangea looks fantastic. If you're going on the market in June or July, it'll look like a dead stick.
Yeah.
And so my first question is always when.
Yeah.
And then I target like September. I was thinking that's the peak season for bacopa in September. Whereas if you were selling in December, I wouldn't offer bacopa. So basically, my first question is always when. There's your bacopa.
There we go. Thank you.
Now, what's interesting, if you planted bacopas this big at the moment, they could be 1.5 times the size of a dinner plate with 400 or 500 flowers on them by September. Yeah. And you can get them in white, pink, blue or purple, but they're a fabulous plant, your bacopa, and really good for putting property on the market because they're a fairly... They're kind of a plant that nobody's going to not like. You know what I mean? Like they're sort of a middle of the road kind of plant. Like some really exciting. Sometimes people do gardens in their own style and they might plant something really exciting, but the majority of people don't like it much.
Yeah.
So basically, planning to sell in September is a really good time to get started now. Get your garden design. And then start planting the things that are going to look great in September, and talk to your agent and say who's going to buy something like this.
Great, there you go, Joe Mac. And Joe Mac just asking what types of fertilizer should I use for my existing garden? Lots of lawn, dieties, Morea, tricolour jasmine. I think that's what it is.
It sounds like you've got a big garden, and something economical like dynamic lifter could be good for that. Because that's something you buy it in great big bags at a produce store. And have a big effect across the whole garden without sending yourself broke.
All right, Joe Max says thank you for your answers, Chris. All right, fantastic. You're welcome. Make sure to like and love and send us roses and do all that, do all that stuff on the socials. Share this live as well. All right, we're going to get through a few more questions here, and we'll have to wrap up this live question and answer. We do this every Monday at 12 o'clock, so join us. If your question doesn't get answered, we'll certainly get to it next week. Just come in early and you can get your question answered if you miss out on getting your questions answered today. But we'll get through a few more here. Next one comes to us from Shelter Wood. Another question, what should be done to horse manure before adding to the garden? Wow, there's a lot of manure fertilizer questions.
So we're really talking shit today, aren't we?
Yeah, people are enjoying the shit talk, I think.
Now, I'll tell you a funny experience I had. There was a chap who lived around the road from me, and he was always keen in the different sorts of plants and things like that. His name was actually Henry Dixon, and he lived around the road from me. And anyway, I was growing these fast-growing Chinese trees, and he wanted to get some. So anyway, he got some off me, and he had a big long farm that went along the edge of the road. It was Falls Road at Mount Dandenong. It went along the edge of the road there. At any rate, at one end of the paddock, at one end of the farm, he had horses, and at the other end of the farm, he had ducks and geese. At any rate, this is a funny story. So what happened was he got a dozen or 50, I can't remember how many of these trees, but he got a whole lot of these trees to go along, and it was going to be an avenue down Falls Road. And anyway, what happened was that he used close and handy manure for planting them. So in the top fields and farm, he used horse manure. At any rate, those trees turned yellow, and they were really sick, and they barely grew. And then down the other end, he used duck and goose poo.
Yeah.
And those trees turned dark green and grew like rockets. So, I mean, I'd love to drive along Falls Road and see how it's going now. But basically, for years, the ones in the horse manure were sick and terrible.
Yeah.
But my dad told me that horse manure is the best manure you can get. But what it is, horse manure is full of cellulose. Cellulose is like straw and stuff. It's full of all this cellulose.
Yeah.
And cellulose sucks
What is
up...
cellulose?
Cellulose it's a type of material, like wood is made of cellulose. And anyway, so what happens is that horse manure takes nearly 12 to 18 months to rot down the cellulose in it.
Jesus.
And then once that cellulose rots down, it releases all that nitrogen.
Okay.
And so what happens is that, so horse manure can really make plants sick. And I remember another time I was a gardener in North Queensland, and I was working for this a beautiful house on the hill, a young doctor's wife. Everything was gorgeous, but she had me gardening for her on a very tight budget. At any rate, she told me she was having a big event in 6 weeks, and she wanted the garden to look fabulous. And I thought, gee, I better get some fertiliser in the garden. I didn't know about the horse manure turning things yellow. At any rate, so I went and collected a whole big heap of horse manure out of a paddock, and I got my lawnmower and I turned it into dust with the lawnmower and sprinkled it all over our garden. And
Did it destroy it, or?
Anyway, so what happened was about a couple of days before the event, she rang me and said, Chris, the garden's turned yellow. What have you done? Anyway, and that was when my dad told me about the cellulose and the horse manure and everything like that. So we turned our whole garden yellow, the lawn, all the plants, everything turned yellow for the event.
That's terrible.
And it was, yeah, so good. But basically, the manure didn't cost her much because I just got it out of a paddock, you know. But anyway, so I learned about that. So basically, horse manure, according to my dad, best manure you can get your hands on. But what you need to do is you need to put it in a compost heap and decompose it for a whole year, and then use it 1 year down the track.
Wow.
So, and what I tell people, the horsey people who've got lots of horse manure, is make a big heap you can use lawn clippings and all sorts of waste, old straw, whatever you've got that's organic, mix it up with the horse manure, throw it in a heap, and then put a tag on it and put a date on it. Okay. And then don't touch it for a year.
1 year,
and then go make a new heap and don't touch that heap for a year. So that way, if you do that, your horse manure becomes a real godsend. But if you start mixing fresh horse manure in your garden, you'll be in trouble.
All right, there you go, Shelter Woodard. That's a nice long answer for you, but with fantastic stories in there as well. And now you know what to do with your horse manure. Let it settle for about 12 months. All right, Kaz here comes to us with a question. And again, guys, sorry if you want to re-listen to any of these answers from Chris, because they're pretty interesting, fun stories as well. You can just subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just Hello Plants, and as soon as this live is done, we'll post this live there. We can rewatch this video anytime and hear the answers. All right, Kaz asks, what's the best mulch to use for a newly planted garden bed?
Do you know something? I'm a little bit cautious about mulching a newly planted garden bed. Often when you dig over the garden bed and you water it and you fertilise it, what you've done is you've just stimulated all the weeds in the district, and they're all going to pop up on you. And so I tell people to hold back. After they make a newly planted garden bed, I tell them to hold back for a couple of months and get out there with a draw hoe. And we can put a draw hoe up on the website. A draw hoe. There's a beautiful little wolf draw hoe you can get in Bunnings. You get the draw hoe and you just draw it through the ground every 2 weeks after you've done your newly planted garden bed. And the weeds are only this big, and you can find just a few minutes you can do quite a big garden bed with a draw hoe, and you don't have to chop and wear yourself out. You just draw it through the ground, and the weeds just flip over and dry in the wind and the sun. And you do that every couple of weeks for a few months. Then after a few months, the weeds stop coming. And then my favourite mulch is crushed pine bark. And I love crushed pine bark because crushed pine bark decomposes slowly. It looks good on the surface, so it looks good, it decomposes slowly, but best of all, I've dug up garden beds that have had composted pine bark on them for a decade or more, and the soil is gorgeous. It makes the most beautiful soil. And it's one of the main ingredients used in modern potting mixes in Victoria is decomposed pine bark. So decomposed pine bark decomposes slowly, does wonders for your soil. But if you rush too quickly after planting your new garden bed, if you rush too quickly and put the pine bark on, you might end up with a terrible mix of weeds and pine bark, which is hard to combat. But when you just have pure garden bed and soil, you'll find it's really, really easy with those wolf draw hoes to just draw them through. You can Google a wolf draw hoe, just draw it through the garden and keep your garden bed clean.
Yep, so you call it a wolf draw hoe, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, just Google that one up and you'll see what it looks like, Kaz, and that's some great advice as well. And then crushed pine bark was your favourite mulch or your best mulch. All right, Monoko asks, what trees with non-invasive roots grow well in Melbourne and are safe to plant along a fence line or an easement?
Okay. So non-invasive trees. Now I reckon possibly the least invasive tree would be a Japanese maple, and there's even sort of miniature Japanese maple. So there's which would be very, very non-invasive. So Japanese maple is probably most innocent kind of tree around. But then what you want is something that now one of the things is that big trees have big roots. So what you want is a small tree, and what you can do is you can take something like a bay tree. Now if you trim your bay tree off at 2.5, 3 metres and don't let it get too wide, you'll find that your bay tree will not be invasive. But other things that I like are things like your blueberry ash, very big in Sydney as a screen and a windbreak. Hasn't really quite caught on in Melbourne, but does fabulous in Melbourne. Beautiful fine dense foliage, fabulous pink blossom, beautiful. So blueberry ash is another really good one. And something like, you say, your Agonis burgundy. And another really good one is your Dodonia. There's a Dodonia Mr. Green Sheen, and then there's just your plain green Dodonia, and it doesn't get too big, doesn't get out of hand, makes a beautiful natural looking hedge. And also weeping lily pilly I think is very, very good, as long as you don't let it get too big. Cut it off at 2.5, 3 metres, only let it get 80 or 90 centimetres wide, and you'll be able to keep it in hand.
Perfect. All right, there you go, Monoko. There's a few plants varieties there for you, and if you want to rehear those, you can simply head over to YouTube, just search for Hello Plants, and as soon as this live is done, you can just rewatch it, hear Chris's answer. There's a fantastic selection there to choose from. All right, we're probably going to only get to one more, I think, here, because we are running a little bit late, but do appreciate all the questions rolling in, and don't forget you can join us next Monday at 12 p.m.
That no one's answering the phones, yeah?
Yep, we'll get that sorted out. All right, so we'll make this the last. Do you want to do a few more?
Let's do 3 more. Three more exciting,
right,
zappy, interesting questions and answers.
Thank you for hanging in there. Amy actually just said, loved hearing the story about the horse manure. How about sheep and cattle poo? We have plenty of that.
Do you want to hear my sheep poo story?
Well, yeah. Well, she wants to hear about sheep and cattle poo. If you have a story about that.
I've got a story about every sort of poo.
Oh my gosh! You might have to. Those sort of 3 questions might have to be next week, Chris.
Okay. So sheep poo. My dad read that sheep poo was the best poo you could possibly get your hands on. At any rate, so I remember one hot day, he took us up the country somewhere, and he had permission to go underneath a shearing shed and collect the sheep poo. And the sheep poo, and we had to sort of crawl under this sheep shearing shed, and we were crawling in little sort of like the little ball bearings of poo. Sheep poo's like little ball bearings, and we're crawling in and it smelt. And it didn't sort of smell stinky, it just smelt sort of sheepy. And anyway, so we're crawling through this stuff, and my dad made us bag all this stuff up, and he got bags and bags and bags of sheep manure. At any rate, he didn't know the ins and outs of sheep manure, because there's something to learn about sheep manure, because we had a kind of a terrible lesson. So we had this beautiful veggie patch. We had just about eliminated the weeds out of it. It was a big, great big veggie patch. Dad used to feed our cow, and the whole family just out of it, and all the neighbours just out of this one veggie patch.
Wow.
The veggie patch was kind of, I think it was about probably 20 metres by 50 metres. So
wow,
it was big as the average building block.
Yeah, it's like a suburban block, yeah.
Yeah, and we had rows and rows, and like we'd harvest like 200 kilos of tomatoes, and my mum would go, my God, you know. But anyway, so we had this veggie patch, and Dad had heard that sheep poo was the ultimate, so we'd driven up the country, we crawled under and scooped up all this sheep poo, and we were covered in this sort of sheepy poo smell, and we came home, and Dad happily spread it all over the garden. And then it happened. Something amazing happened. What happened was that we didn't realise, but sheep don't digest seeds. So they're out there eating weeds and rubbish all day long, and the sheep poo is actually a mass of fertile seeds packed in fertiliser.
Oh no.
And our garden just turned, it just about destroyed our veggie patch. The weeds just poured out of the ground. Vicious, nasty, prickly weeds like we'd never seen before.
From the country,
from the country. We only had sort of little inoffensive semi-suburban weeds. So suddenly we had those killer weeds from the country. It was like Day of the Triffids. And we almost had to evacuate our veggie patch, and Dad swore never ever to put sheep manure on their veggie patch.
Wow, all right, there you go. It's a bit of a warning, Amy, on the sheep. Yeah. What about cattle? Any cattle poo?
Cow poo.
Doesn't that go really hard? Or can you?
Basically, we had a house cow. We did two things with the cow poo. One thing was we would gather the cow poo and put it in our compost. It would make the most beautiful compost. Bit of cow poo, and it would accelerate the decomposition of your compost heap.
Interesting. Okay.
And then the other thing that we do is we had a big drum, and all the neighbours seemed to like this sort of thing. We had a big drum, and we throw those big dry hard cow manures into the drum, and they would make a sort of a cow manure. And what's good is the cows have got 7 stomachs or 5 stomachs or something, and there's no seed comes up from cow poo. It's completely clean. That's the wonderful thing about cow poo. And we throw that in, and it used to make a type of black tea. And then my mum and the local ladies and that, whenever they were planting a new plant or helping a sick plant or anything like that, they would use the watering can and they'd put that cow poo tea on it, and things grew beautifully. It really helped establishing new plants. So
what's it like a watery cow poo?
Yeah,
stuff?
and it didn't smell too bad either. Like we'd have this big drum of cow poo tea, and it was used to water on the plants, you know. And it was just a sort of a kind of a blacky, brackish looking water that we would water on things, and it really did make them grow. Like it wouldn't have had a very high NPK or anything like that, but it really helped things grow great. It worked rather like, it was like sea salt, and you can imagine what we're talking about life back in the 60s, and life back in the 60s that, you know, like people didn't earn really big bucks, and they maybe didn't have the money for fertilizers and things like that, so they made compost, they gathered cow manure, and they would, you know, do something like that. They used to call it liquid fertilizer. So we'd make our own liquid fertilizer from the cow dung, and it was really good stuff. And it was just there was no great recipe or anything to it. You'd throw it in there, and give it a stir occasionally, and there we were.
Beautiful. All right. Well, there you go, Amy. That's for both of your questions about the sheep poo and the cattle poo. Looks like there's 2 good valuable lessons to be learnt in there.
Yeah.
Stick with the cattle poo and don't stick with the sheep poo.
I think sheep poo would be fine if you sort of decomposed it in a big compost heap or something first, but using fresh, it's dangerous.
Great. We just got a message here from Tropstar saying we're waiting for the corrugated U-pots in black. Still waiting for a call. 2 sets, please. We'll get someone to contact
cool.
Tropstar.
Yeah, give us
Hopefully
a
we know
phone
who that
number.
is,
Give us a phone number. We'll sort that out for
It's a
you.
bit tricky to know from the username, but send us a direct message in Instagram Tropstar, and we'll get one of our sales staff to help you out. Or if you want to speed things along, give us a call 03 9359 3331. All right, we're going to ask one last question because we're going to end it up here. But thank you so much, everyone, for all of your questions. We really do appreciate it. And again, we'll be back next Monday at 12 o'clock, and Chris can answer your questions live on the show. Just come early in the show, you get your question answered. All right, just the last one. It's a nice question to end off on from DJS asking, does Chris have a favourite tree? What's your favourite tree?
I think I've got trees I'm really interested in and trees that fascinate me. But when I look back at my garden designs, I think my favourite tree group, really, it's really a bit of a group, is the birch tree. I love silver birches. And then there's all different types of silver birches, like weeping silver birch, and then there's a silver birch that grows tall and skinny. There's your cut leaf birch, and then there's really interesting ones like a black river birch, and
Moss white,
and a moss white, and a paperbark birch.
Yeah.
And I use birches. I reckon birches would be in the top 3 trees that I use in my garden designs, and what's interesting is that my father worked out years ago how to grow birches, and when I was a little kid, he did all his experiments, bought some books and did some experiments in our veggie patch, and then got birches growing, and then once he knew how to grow them, he grew 100,000 a year for 40 years. So he grew millions of them, and so I was brought up handling birches, big birches, little birches, sorting birches, delivering birches, planting birches, gathering birch seed. Doing everything there was to do with birches, and a lot of trees that I've had a lot to do with. After a while, I don't really like them, but I actually really enjoy every part of working with birches now, and I think that birches are really classy. They're cheap for people to buy. They're fast and easy to establish, and you
can grow them in different things, can't you? Like feature tree or clumps
there's many uses for birches and many types of birches, and I think although there's lots of other trees that I might find a little bit more interesting than a birch, I think birches are probably my favourite tree.
All right, wow, there you go, DJS. All right, Manoko says thank you so much. All right, guys, well, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to have to wrap the show up there. We've gone severely over time, but we'll be back next Monday with another live Q&A, as we always do, with Chris answering your questions. And if your question didn't get answered on today's show, just join us next Monday. Chris will answer. And this Friday, we're going to have another live sale.
Yeah, grow direct flash sale.
With an auction. We can get a steal. Last week we gave away, well, not gave away, but we had an auction.
It was almost a giveaway, wasn't it?
It was almost a giveaway. We had an auction on a weeping cherry that was valued at $900, and what did it go for? $450, basically half price, which is insane. So if you want to get a crazy deal, join us on the sale.
And that's what it is that we're trying to reduce this year's tax bill by losing some money in these auctions. No, that's not true. What the truth of the matter is we will reduce the tax bill because we're losing at least 50% on every plant that we auction, but we've designed the auction so that it's excitement and fun for people. And so what it is the minimum. It starts off with a 10 cent. There's a 10 cent reserve.
Yeah.
And then the minimum bid is 10 cents, but the maximum bid is $5. Now, what people tend to do is it runs for an hour and a half, and what they tend to do is they just put on 10 cents here, 10 cents here, 10 cents here, and after an hour, you might only have $100 in the kitty that people have bid up to. It's only at $100, and then at the end, it goes crazy. But people can't put in $100 and just get rid of everybody else. It's only $5 is the max. And the guy that won this week, he just did 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. He did 4 5s in a row.
Yeah, because he wanted to make sure he won.
Yeah, but that was a good little strategy. But everyone goes, so what happens, there's real excitement and craziness at the end, but it doesn't suddenly leap up from $200 or $300 to $900 because at $5 a shot, it just can't do it.
Yeah.
And so
might jump up $20.
Yeah, so it's designed so that we don't make money, but it's designed so that people can have some fun and some excitement, and even if you're not that rich, you've still got a good chance of getting this great big beautiful tree cheap.
Exactly. Can you spill the beans on what it is this week?
No, do you know, straight after this, I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and I'm going to wander around and
work it out
and find something, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll have an ad up.
All right, stay tuned, folks. We'll let you know about the auction, and join us this Friday at 12 o'clock. Otherwise, next Monday at 12 o'clock for another live Q&A. Thank you very much.